internet. Entertainment and schizophrenia are sometimes undifferentiated. And from this questionable happenstance comes our next two role-playing games, Timecube and Hybrid. Unless you're Timecube's creator, Dr. Gene Ray himself, and I'm not sure where he became a doctor, you will never understand Timecube, and don't feel like that's a loss. But to give you a glimpse at the closest you'll ever get to understanding Timecube, before turning our attention to the RPG, let's look at the concept of Timecube first, which has long ago become a baffling fascination for internet goers. The long and the short of it, though, is that, as stated on the site, Earth has a four-corner simultaneous four-corner day of 24 hours within a single rotation, and basically magnificent, supernatural, more powerful than a god. You are retarded. Earth has four corners, simultaneous 4-day Timecube within single rotation. 4-corner days proves one day one god is taught evil, ignorance of Timecube. 4 simple math is retardation, and evil education damnation. Cubeless Americans deserve and shall be exterminated. And you can see the simplistic representation of the four-cornered Earth day of Timecube, I guess. And the only official site for Gene Ray / Timecube, I don't know if that means Gene Ray and Timecube, or if he himself is also Timecube somehow, and then you should donate to Timecube. He is a knower of four-corner simultaneous 24-hour days. God guys for queer scam enslaves 4-day cube brain as oneist. Vilify teachers for queers swindle tithe from 1 day retarded. I bet you didn't know that. Now you do. Americans are retarded from religious academia taught oneism upon Earth of opposite poles covered by Mama Hole and Papa Pole, pulsating opposite sexes, and Cyclops mentality, and as you might guess, it kind of devolves a little bit. There's a lot of bold and italics and large text and transcendence and Christianity and evil and stupidity and lectures and email addresses and I believe, yes, a snot brain, Android, more powerful than one god, harmonic, opposites, fictitious words, educated, stupid, Dr. Gene Ray, cubic and wisest human, the Lionel Show in 2007, Timecube, and again his $1,000 to anyone who can disprove it. He's the greatest mathematician and philosopher. Somehow. Pretty sure he's the only one that said that. And opposite sex organs, and I think I saw something about Jews, and I'm not entirely certain. And there was something about lobotomy and abovegod.com. And as you might imagine, this is a pretty long site. The best part, though, is you go and go and go, and he's got banners for some reason. Evil stewardship, 77,000 tons of nuclear waste, you're a slave. Mother and a baby are the same age as a one-day-old baby has a one-day-old mother. That actually kind of makes sense. Now he wagers $10,000 that cubic creation is almighty. I don't know how exactly that's different than the $1,000 to disprove it. Now there's 89 million links to Timecube, but now they're all gone. And I don't know what horology is. And I remember I actually have this Tech TV Unscrewed video where they interviewed him. There is no human entity, just human cubics. I don't know. Matrix, Dream World. This is the best part. Next page. Yep, he's got another one. Why not the Timecube? Well, I suppose that's a fair question. Although there are some pretty good answers. The U.S. government is anti-white. I'm not really. And then, of course, plenty of you don't know the truth. You destroyed the family. One day God versus 4-day cubes and quadrants. And so, at any rate, my name is Gene Ray, and then a bunch of red because Lord knows that's easy to read. He's a cubic thinker. That's, I don't know, there's probably text there. Yeah, of course there is. One corner God is a fraud. Are you afraid to know? Man, I am. But and life is a crapshoot with the femininity cube and a masculinity cube. Boy, that's true. And God is cornered as a queer. And yep. So wisest human. I bet there's even see that's another domain he's bought. And so more of these strange images. Socrates has a midday. Clintons have a sundown. Einstein has a midnight. Jesus has a sun up. Greenwich Mean Time is a lie. You're educated stupid. Public warning. Are you Jewish? And okay, so anyway, there's Timecube. It's pretty indecipherable. I'm not sure. Basically, his claim is the Earth and time and everything is four-sided, like a cube, which cubes are not four-sided. They're six-sided. And when asked about that, he said, how can a room have six sides? It has four walls and a ceiling and a floor. Those aren't sides, that's a ceiling and a floor. Which his logic is inescapable, so of course that's how it works with Timecube. So days have four sides and a ceiling and a floor, but they're cubes somehow. So from this we have now gotten the idea that naturally decided that it needed its own role-playing game. In fact, not just one, but two. Unfortunately, I can only find one of them. The other seems to have disappeared into the ether. I had both, but my hard drive crashed, and the other one was saved on it. So we'll just have to make do with just the one that is still on the net, unfortunately. But it's not bad. The other one is, unfortunately, the one I actually wanted. The one I can't find any longer, because it actually was a full role, well, as full as you can get with this. It was a full role-playing game that actually had full character creation and could be, I hesitate to use the word played, but it could be played. It was actually a game, more or less. This is really more of a spoof, but it is billed as a role-playing game. This is from Folded.com, Jeff Fridge, Timecube, SHTML, stuck to the fridge. Timecube, the role-playing game, the game where you explore 4 rotations of nature's harmonic time cube, by Jeff Yaus. Inspired by the teachings of Jean Ray. You are a cubic creature. You were educated to live an evil lie, and your heirs will suffer hell for your stupidity. It's a great start. Great start. Very time-cubish. Anyway. Word equates instituted evil. That really should have been, it's already got educated, so that works. A word god can be erased. Get ready for Armageddon. I think he's really into it. He's got that down. Choose a gender. Opposite sexes equate to zero value existence. Creation is by opposites, opposite hemispheres and sexes, not queer singularity. There are no rules for 2x4x4 femininity and masculinity, 2 sex cube hemispheres, as life is a 2-cube crap game. I don't really understand that, and that's probably pretty well in keeping with Jean Ray's mess. All characters exist between 2 opposite sexes. Choose a race. I missed that in the Timecube stuff, but this is probably correct. Sun up represents Indian, midday represents white, Asian, black. The clock face has 4 quarter corners. Character creation has 4 quadrant corners. And then he adds the classes in here. Between midday and sun up is something. Between midday and sundown, the fighter live here. Apparently it's a personified pyramid. Rogues over here, mages, clerics, 2 opposite rotating hemispheres. Creation of character occurs between 2 opposites. Apply analytical math to your character points and discover 2 opposite hemispheres rotating in opposite directions equal to a 0 value with a capital 0. Your character is not an entity. For adding the opposite values cancel each other to no existence. Very faithful to the Timecube verbiage. Advantages and disadvantages equate mental retardation as a 2x4x4 cube. Creation principle reduced to a 1/4 corner. The whole game and everything is composed of opposites, which exist only as opposites with a 0 value existence, and nothing is entity. And you can see create 4 rounds with a turn, rotation, simultaneous turn, the principle of a 4-pole motor. And he's used a lot of the wording, but this is all pure nonsense. Word has no inherent value, counterfeit and fictitious. And there's injury and death, spinning of dice, the distance of non-rotating game. Sum up the axis tilt of the 4 simultaneous turns. You only see the map tilt in game. You should recognize the map tilt as a perfectly vertical axis overall. The straight line of the heart monitor equals to the perfection of death. The axis of imperfection of that straight line. Without the Timecube, your character is avoided. All gameplay is done by rolling a cube. All gameplay is done by rolling a cube, which gives a result 1 through 4. Again, I like this because he took this directly from the Timecube idea. 6-side constitutes a sextet, not a cube. Rules that say a cube has 6 sides with no top and bottom induce an evil curse that pervades all role-playing games. Example, the GM reads an introduction. Timecube imposed 4 corners on Earth sphere. Earth sphere is cubic with rounded corners. Earth exists as two opposite cube hemispheres. Humans must establish four-corner Earth cube. Place 4 different PCs in the 4 corners of the map and rotate them 4 corners each. Note that they rotate simultaneously within same time frame as if only one is rotating, just as the 4 different turns rotate. 3D math applied within this hollow cube would be erroneous math, as it would not account for the 4th corner perspective dimension. Place 100 NPCs within this cubic-like map and they will not increase the number of corners. Again, it makes no sense, and this is all there is to the rules. So, as you can see, in 2006 is when this was written by Jeffrey Yaus. This is a work of parody under the fair use doctrine. The author was educated stupid and cannot compute a time cube. Persons interested in actually learning Timecube should see Timecube.com. I just... see, this is why I wish the other Timecube game were online, but I can't find it. I looked. I really dug through Google. I found the Wayback Machine where other people had looked for it, and it doesn't seem to be around anymore. Which is unfortunate because it was also confusing, but it did have, someone went through a lot of work and also stayed faithful to the Timecube, but it actually had some somewhat workable mechanics. But again, suffice it to say, at least 2 people found Timecube strange, but that it has enough personality to lend itself to making a role-playing game. I can't imagine anyone would actually ever play it, but I don't think necessarily, I guess, really, a role-playing game is really more about what you can make of it. Hybrid is a role-playing game, quote unquote, according to its author at least, that came about in the late 90s, I believe. It has, by now, its own reputation, I guess. Wikipedia has entries on it, RPGNet, and their wiki has entries on it. It's been, as you can see here, it has a number of entries just in Google. It has made a name for itself. It has its own website or blog spot here, and it's been given some treatment. I guess probably the easiest thing to do is just to go on into it. The thing is, it's not really like Timecube because it's not a concept that somebody came up with and then someone else made a role-playing game based on it. It claims to be a role-playing game. The author says, this is my hybrid role-playing game. So here's what hybrid looks like. This is his latest entry here. Hybrid RPG version number 5 or 0.5 V number 6 or 0.6 not possible until use of base 1212 divided by 2 equals 6. Cost of C number or sharp or pound explained in my Tristat RPG, where the Marvel Silver Surfer is at 1d6 rating number in V, and something SS in the Marvel Universe comics put the character sometimes at 7 rating, and Marvel Universe Terrax. And so it's kind of, if you can see where this is going, you can pretty much extrapolate what the rest of the rules look like. I have no idea what number this is. He occasionally numbers the rules. Well, let's see, here is from February 29th, which was, I guess, 2 days ago. February 29th, 2012. This rule is a number of types of food, Rule 180. There are 1d6 to 2d6 types of food to consume, which I'm not really sure where that fits. C, and then another one is just C number equation for magic. B at CA equals 10 plus rating number, and then 30, and something about the Smallville character Clark Kent, and then there's something about sidekick characters, and Clark Kent's similar to Wishmaster, that gives out powers to those that worship him, and it turns out Darkseid was actually created by Clark Kent, and I don't follow that at all. And then there's soul gems, but this has gone on for a long time. He's gone to this blogspot. It used to be a website, and I don't know if you can see the scroll bar, but it's a very large scroll bar. I don't know if this is all on one page or he has numerous. Now see, the great thing about this is in between his alleged role-playing game is he just throws in. Now he does give links out to other things that he claims relates to his game, and says, here's this thing to help you understand this or calculate that. But then he throws in EPA is corrupt government agency. but then he tries to make it a rule in his game. Good and evil bipolar members, an evil Jew versus a good Jew. That's a little. There's Stormfront. I'm pretty sure most everybody knows what Stormfront is. That is a white supremacist website. Best car Honda. Number rule 150. Okay. Quote of the day. Yeah. Don't know how that applies to a game. But then, see, he goes on into Buck Rogers. Then he's back into the game, and then nope, back into Bain Capital and vote for Ron Paul. And he just, as it might not surprise you, he's kind of just all over the place. Ron Paul links, 2008 and 2012, and how Ron Paul was cheated, and I'm a Ron Paul fan myself, which with this man as a fellow Ron Paul supporter, I'm a little not particularly comfortable with being a Ron Paul supporter, knowing that this guy likes him too. But the point is, I'm becoming more and more convinced the hybrid may not be a role-playing game. Actually, I've pretty much never believed it's been a role-playing game. A Newton's end of time predictions for 2060 was the end of the police state, and the hidden Illuminati symbolism in 21 Jump Street. I'm not sure. Yep, that's a rule. Rule 105. Quotes of the day. And then he has a favorite collection of links, including Swedish cinnamon rolls. Okay. But at any rate, the concept of... I was about to say Timecube. I wonder why. The concept of his... of his... hybrid role-playing game is it's basically a unified field theory for role-playing games, comic books, superheroes, and science fiction, and anything having to do with any sort of over-the-top fiction or fantasy or pretty much anything made up. He's somehow is convinced that he has a tri-stat role-playing game system via this incredibly convoluted and in-depth interactive interdependent formula that you can equate one character's statistics to another on this totally I don't know what you would call it. Basically, it's consistent. He has this consistent framework that Superman could exist in this same system of mechanics that, say, Hawk the Slayer and any other comic book character or movie character or whatever that has any sort of an unusual ability, and that you could make a character for a game and play it. Now, my question is, if with something this complex, how is it a tri-stat system, which is generally considered to be a pretty simplistic idea for a role-playing game? I don't know. Apparently that was a long time ago, and I certainly never read through all of Hybrid, so I don't know where he started with his idea he had a tri-stat system, or when it evolved into, I guess, 180 rules by now. I don't understand what the C number signs are, what SSB at signs and number 10s and V numbers are. At one time I actually knew a little bit of what these meant. I have no idea how you would apply any of this. I'm almost certain he's schizophrenic because he just keeps putting these out. He's either one of the most elaborate trolls on the internet ever, or he just has no clue that none of this makes any sense. He does remind me a lot of the Timecube guy. There's no way this is a game. There's no structure to it, despite the fact that there's numbered rules in a somewhat sequential order. There's no character creation structure or system. I don't know what you would do. There's no setting. There's no indication he has friends or plays games other than he knows things about these role-playing game systems, sort of. He does mention other systems and some of the stats, and he obviously reads comic books and watches some shows, but I don't know. This is truly an example that would be fascinating to anyone interested in psychology of how someone can take something like role-playing games and comic books and decide that they can unify all these things into something that makes sense, which I find that fascinating in itself, as someone whose own mind is not coherent, wants to make something that is disparate, games and comic books and movies that are all separate anyway, wants to make them coherent. It's ironic and fascinating. But so this is Hybrid. It's absolutely not playable. It's not a game, even though he swears it is. And apparently he started out on some, I think, RPGNet and probably some other game sites, really clamoring and trying to get people to come to his site and comment and discuss Hybrid with him. And I think he probably has stopped since then, when people kept telling him that he was talking crazy. Because I don't know if he realized he was, or just people were probably just not able to understand and speak with him on his level of greatness. But so that's Hybrid. I thought maybe he had. Well, no. Yeah, let's see. There's 2011. Notice they look similar. Yeah, look, there's a whole nother year of limit of gay or lesbian and straight person ought to be at 12% if he's 88% straight. Huh. Feminism is wrong. Oh yeah, on that previous page it said something about feminism was attacking, it was like attacking the diesel engine. I did not have a clue as to what that was. And then who looks like Bill Gates? David Stern looks like Bill Gates is who looks like Bill Gates. That's Rule 97 in case you needed a rule for who looks like Bill Gates. Apparently you do. Dexter is the serial killer that kills serial killers. That's Rule 96. I don't know why you need a rule for who looks like Dexter. Or no, that's not who looks like Dexter, but that's okay. There's stat increases and more quotes of the day, and you can tell exactly where his head was at. He suddenly decides he's interested in Dexter, and it becomes a rule in his game. There's the most dangerous candy ever made, and I'm not sure where he gets the idea that this is a game. There's 70. I don't think he's got his whole. I can't imagine he has his whole thing on here. Yeah, Rule 19 he may have. I'm trying to go back even further than this. Rule 18. Yep. 17. You see, I may go back to 1. Yeah, Rule 1. Here we go. Rule 1. Yin and Yang be the only two true gods created by God to rule the universe, so that God can take an extended vacation. They be equal and opposite forces that rule and govern the universe, including space and time. That is Rule 1 of hybrid. How the gods use seed number is by method of Doppler effect, and resonance theory is one of 1d6 methods how gods use C number. C pound, C sharp. That, okay. And then here's the math of C sharp. It's used to manipulate C sharp for his LS stat and his PL stat, that either player or user of C number must use reverse math operations on LS or lifespan LS, and on PL or power level. Okay, so LS and PL is power, lifespan, and power level, where the average of these two stats is DP or default psyche. So the average of your lifespan and power level is your default psyche in terms of C number. And it's a vector that consists of a number and a magnitude defined as C number, such as 0 C number is almost subatomic particle. Okay. And it's also multiplication, and it depends on what version number that C number is referring to, where it's often different for different versions, such as in version number 5 or 0.5. The fictional character Spider-Man is at 3d6 or 18 C2 default psyche, knowing that one can then use math of C number to figure out his minimum and maximum lifespan and power level stat, depending on what either the user or character wants wants out or and for or and from his C number. And the purpose of using reverse math operations is to conserve mass and energy. Because that certainly conserves mass and energy. Is conserved by using reverse math operations on LS and PL stat after knowing his DPC number. One can approximate based on what kind of assumptions that you make in terms of what kind of the universe the character is in. There will be one of 6 options or 1d6 options, because apparently his whole system works on d6s. So there's that. Depending on contributions of God in yin and yang, where yin and yang also play roles of God and the devil, where second God is Digimon created by God. Okay. Or analogy would be either Doombot made by Dr. Doom or Spider-Man clone made by Spider-Man. Example. Yeah. Well, alright. And Marvel Universe Library is not as great as it sets itself out to be. Well, really, it just really pumps itself up and kind of puts on a lot of airs, that crazy Marvel Universe Library. Meaning it's simply or only at 10 C number, and since 10 to the lodge 10 equals 10 remains 10 for all C numbers if C number equals 10, and for this example it's assumed to be at 10 C1 default psyche, since you'll be comparing this C number to that of Soul Gem is at 20 C1. You know, he makes a good point here. Probably. So it's really only 49 according to Rule 4. But because the Soul Gem is expensive to use, it might seem the Universal Library is great. Well, you know, it's okay. I don't know if I'd say it's great. It is costly to get to location of the Marvel Universe Library if it's located at particular location in the Marvel Universe. But in actuality, or in reality, the location is not fixed, meaning the Universal Library is abstract. And because of the abstract nature of the Universal Library is not at fixed location, since it is at 10C number in my version number 5 or 0.5 in my Tristat RPG hybrid. C number cost rating number 9 for Marvel Soul Gem in version number 0 by method of 4 plus 5 equals 9. Was there a sentence there? I know there were numbers, and I know there was English. I'm not certain if they were put together, and it read like it was going to be a sentence. There was structure. Well played, sentence. Or pseudo-sentence. Well played. There's a period. Excellent masquerade. So, anyway, as you might imagine, either Galactus created Silver Surfer or Silver Surfer created Galactus. Whoa! One of 2 options depending on reference point. So that's probably a D6 rolled and halved, or 1 to 3 equals 1 and 4 to 6 equals 2. But he didn't expand on that. And yeah, so he was apparently into the Silver Surfer Galactus thing when he was writing this. So that's hybrid. So now you know. And there's really not much more to say about hybrid. That's what it is. So enjoy.